My name is Jake, welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to share with all of you how I was able to increase my earned income. So money from my day job, my 9 to 5, how I was able to increase my earned income by 50% on average every 2 years. So if you're new to my channel, I talk about all things dividend growth investing. I talk about the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early. I'm looking to retire in my mid 40s. I'm currently in my mid 30s and I've been investing for over 10 years now. I've been working for right around 10 years. And in previous videos, if you're following my channel, you've heard me say time and time again, there's really 3 things that you need to be focusing on if you want to be financially independent and retire early. The first thing is you need to cut your expenses. Second thing is you need to cut consumer debt. That would be your car payment, that would be credit cards, etc. And the third thing is you need to make more money. You need a side hustle. You need to make more money at your job. In today's video, I'm going to share with all of you how I was able to go from working in a donut shop, making $5.15 an hour to where I'm at today, making roughly $200,000 a year from earned income. If you follow any finance channels or watch any finance or investing videos here on YouTube, you probably have heard people selling you the idea of get rich off of X, Y, and Z and retire tomorrow, right? These kind of videos, they never really go into detail around how they were able to generate passive income. They just sell you on the idea of, buy my course, try my free trial, and then tomorrow you're going to be rich. Okay. And in this video today, I'm going to be brutally honest and say that is bullshit. It does not happen. It may happen to a very, very small percentage of people. And I'm sure that there are, those outliers, but for the majority of us, for the majority of you watching this video, it is bullshit. It doesn't happen. I'm going to share with you exactly how I went from making $5.15 an hour to where I'm at today over the last 10 years. Okay. And I'm going to try to make it applicable to the entire audience. My situation, for those of you that have been following the channel, you know that I work in the technology sector and I work as a sales manager. I haven't been doing what I'm doing today forever. It's been quite a journey these last couple of years of getting to where I'm at today. Okay. And so the hard truth is it takes a lot of time and effort to increase your earned income. If you ever hear somebody say, try to sell you on the idea of you can get rich tomorrow if you buy my course. If you try my new course for free, I'm going to show you how to, like all of these things. Whenever I see those kind of videos or ads, I usually just think about this.
It's an urban legend that never happened. No way. We got you. Not a chance. Not this time. It never happened. It never happened. We made this one up. It's fiction. We made up this one. We made it up. Not this time. Wrong. Not this time. Not this time. This one was invented by a writer. Not this time. It never happened. We made it up.
In my M1 Finance portfolio here, you can see that I currently have over $73,000 in my portfolio. The majority of this here is from actually funding the portfolio. I transferred over my Robinhood portfolio at the middle of 2019, in addition, added or contributed $12,000 to my portfolio. I'm doing this through weekly transfers from my bank account. The money that I'm transferring, it's not magical from some crazy, scheme. Like it's from blood, sweat, and tears of my day job. And I think a lot of people are vulnerable when they're, maybe having a bad day at work and they just want to quit their job and they just want to be rich tomorrow. I'm here to tell you that it's not going to be the case. And so this video is really going to be dedicated about sharing with all of you how I was able to do it and give all of you a few ideas of how you can, small applicable things that you can apply in your own lives that can hopefully help you to increase your earned income. I've been watching dozens, probably over 1,000 hours of investing videos here on YouTube. And the trend that I'm seeing over and over again is that it's easy. It's easy. You can magically get rich tomorrow. And I just kind of shake my head and think to myself, it's so unfortunate that, if it were my younger self, maybe I'm in my early 20s and I see a video where somebody's flashing their car and their house in front of me and thinking to myself, okay, well, I want to have that. I guess, if I buy their course or if I do that, I can have it as well. And so I'm going to be brutally honest in this video and say that dividend investing, when you're investing for cash flow and you're trying to achieve financial independence, it's difficult. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of time. When I look at my own experience on my path to achieve financial independence and retire early, I have a long way ahead of me. I'm nowhere near the goals that I would like to to achieve. It starts with having a vision. It starts with having a goal. My plan, or the plan that my wife and we put together, we've planned on funding our financial independence path 100% from our earned income. We have other things that we're trying to build up. We have a rental property. We're going to be, acquiring another rental property by the end of the year. I have this YouTube thing, right, that's generating maybe a couple of dollars every other day. Like, honestly, the portfolio that I'm funding here, it's from my earned income. The YouTube ad revenue is nowhere near enough to scale up to the level that my wife and I are trying to achieve. I think a lot of YouTubers here that talk about investing in finance, they're very flashy, and they really are funding their portfolio from their YouTube revenue and their affiliate marketing. For those of you that follow my channel, I don't really push affiliate marketing. I don't have a lot of ads. And so I'm being brutally honest with where the money that I'm getting to invest into my portfolio, it's from my earned income. I mean, I don't know what else I could do to kind of show that other than, explain it. I mean, I'm not the type of person that's going to flash my pay stubs here on the channel, but I think you're just going to have to take it at face value. That's how I'm funding my portfolio. So before we dive into my particular situation, where I'm going to share with everybody my own story, let's take a look at some of the average wages here in the United States. This is from 2019 and by occupational group. So you can see that, I've done a little bit of research prior to the making of this video, just to kind of make sure that I know what I was talking about. And a few different websites were sharing different things. And what I've seen is, or the trend that I've seen in terms of the occupations that are paying more money, they have kind of similarities. The similarities that they have belong to the STEM category. So STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So the majority of high-paying jobs, like from earned income from your 9 to 5, they're typically jobs that require an expertise in either a science, technology, engineering, or mathematical background, right? And so that's the trend that I've seen. In addition to that, just a simple, looking at different articles on the highest paying jobs, the trend that I'm seeing is the majority of jobs that are the highest paying, you'll have some outliers in there, right? So you got your public relations, you got your, you got your sales managers. This is very, it can mean very different things depending on which industry. You got your advertising, you got your lawyers, you got your financial managers, you got your marketing managers. But if you scroll down towards the bottom here of the highest payers, typically, and what I've seen on multiple sites in preparing for this video, the majority of high-paying positions in the United States have to do with healthcare. And that's just here in the United States. I know that this is very different. When I lived in Germany, medical professionals did not make near as what they make here in the United States. So this is also very dependent on where you live, right? It could be completely different in Australia, in Canada. So this is really most particularly, the case here in the United States. So general practitioners, things to do with the medical background. When I look at this from a FIRE standpoint, going into medicine can be a very high yielding or profession, right? A lot of people, they go into the medical field for different reasons, some to make more money, some because they want to help other people. When it comes to FIRE, I think if you're in your early 20s and you're just looking for ways to make the most amount of money so that you can retire the earliest in life, I think going the medical route is maybe not the most optimal way to do it. A lot of this has to stem from the high education or student loan debt that these individuals occur throughout their lifetime. I've spoken with a lot of different people that have this type of background, and a lot of them are still underwater just with student loan debt. So I don't know if this is right, maybe the right approach for most people looking to go and achieve FIRE. Maybe there's other routes. There's other opportunities that you can maybe pursue that'll yield a higher salary, but you won't be so underwater and consumed with debt. When I look at my own situation, I work in the technology sector. I've worked at a handful of software companies, both large and small, some of the largest companies and largest software companies in the world. And I've seen and spoken with a lot of different people, and that's really where my expertise is. I don't really have expertise in a lot of other industries like manufacturing, healthcare. My expertise is in technology, and most particularly in software sales. So my story is going to be a little bit different than other people, but in my experience, the way that I was able to increase my earned income, on average, 50%, pretty much every 2 years was this. So right out of college, I have my undergraduate from just a state university, a normal university here in the United States. During my undergrad, I went and did a study abroad in Germany. In Germany, I completed my master's degree. I wanted I wanted to earn a master's in the United States, but due to personal reasons in my own life, I decided to stay in Germany. And actually, financially, it worked out very well for me because the education system in Germany is very different, where I didn't actually have to pay tuition. The tuition costs are actually it's a subsidy from the government that everyone in Germany pays into. And so I was very fortunate that I was able to earn a master's degree in a 2-year program that didn't cost me anything hardly. So that I was very, very blessed to do that. And so for all of you young folks out there that are interested in going and doing, studying abroad, definitely check out Germany. Germany is a great place. It's a great country to live in. And others, it doesn't have to be Germany, but check out internationally. If you're in the United States and you're looking to go international and study international, it's definitely a way to save on costs. And I have great experience doing it. I got to see another culture. I got to travel a lot. I absolutely loved my experience. So how did I go from making $5.15 an hour working at a donut shop to making roughly $200,000 as a sales manager in one of the largest software companies in the world? The way that I did it is it was a slow process. It wasn't just overnight. And so when I look at my own experience, I had a lot of service jobs. I worked as a bank teller. I worked as a bagger at a grocery store. People, outside of the United States, when they think of, okay, what is a bagger? Here in the United States, we're kind of spoiled where people will maybe come and bag our own groceries for us. And when I went abroad, I had to bag my own groceries, and I was kind of shocked by that because it was just so different. Just a kind of a fun fact for everybody. When it comes to how I increase my earned income, there wasn't any magical thing that happened. I think if I could summarize the way that I was able to see success in my career, it sums down to one word: complacency. Not being complacent. Don't be satisfied with where you're at. Always thinking, okay, what's the next step? How can I increase? How can I optimize what I'm doing? How can I do things differently or better? How can I perform better? That is the number one thing that I think is transferable in every industry. I don't care if you're working in an oil rig, you're working as a pharmacist, doesn't matter what you're doing. The main thing that I've realized and learned in my career is don't be complacent. The first job that I had is I started out as a sales account executive, selling into larger companies. Okay, and so I got exposure very early on into selling. And so that was a skill that didn't really necessarily come naturally to me, but it was something that I worked on very intensely the first couple of months and even years when I first started. And for me, in a sales position, it's not like a sales position where you're in a call center and you're calling just random people. It was much more strategic. It was calling into specific buyers at larger organizations, and the sales cycles, it wasn't transactional. It wasn't, okay, overnight I'm going to call somebody and then I'm going to close the deal on the phone. It was a longer process that took anywhere from 3 to 12 months. Okay, so not a transactional business that I'm talking about here. Okay. And so I worked my way up. I was always, for me, I'm kind of a competitive person. I looked at my peers, how my peers were performing. And in sales, it's all about performance, how you're performing. And so I noticed that very early on that, okay, I didn't have to be necessarily the best. I'd like to strive to do well. And this could be applicable for anyone. Maybe you're a teacher, right? You go above and beyond, and you want to be noticed. You take on additional projects, and you go the extra mile. Really, that's what it comes down to. Okay, and so I remember very distinctly the first job that I was in. It all started with asking the right questions. Asking the right questions. What I'm doing, am I doing it the right way? Getting feedback from other people. That is what helped me out so much in my career, earlier in my career, is asking the right question. And I think a lot of people undervalue this and don't really understand the power of asking the right questions.
And I want them to ask questions, but people like to say, the only stupid questions are the ones you don't ask, and that's not right, right? Because the questions you ask tell whoever more about you than anything else you do. Because in particular, it tells me about your preparation. If you ask me questions about just basic things that you should have known and you should have down to a science, that's going to disqualify you almost more than anything.
Once I started understanding which questions I needed to ask, it really then helped me understand, okay, where I can go from there. What is my potential? That was the key thing. I didn't know my potential. I didn't know that the job that I was performing at this one company, right? What you see on your screen is dozens of software companies. I didn't know that what I was making at one company, another company would actually pay me double to do the same job, just at a different company. I didn't know that. And so that was the first thing that I learned, that, okay, what I'm doing, I'm in a very competitive environment, right? We talked about earlier, having those backgrounds, those STEM, those science, technology, those technical backgrounds. My background in sales, in software sales, is very unique. And I didn't know how valuable my skill was until I started asking the right questions. The very first job that I had it right out of college. I went through the normal interview process. The next job that I went for, I currently had a job. I wasn't out of work. Every job that I ever got, it was because I was able to negotiate from a position of power. I wasn't unemployed. So I was able to negotiate the salary. I was able to negotiate the start date, the entire package. And we'll get to the package here in a second. Because the package, that's not, this is the key thing. And it's also dependent on your industry. But I was able to negotiate my salary, and I was able to highball it, right? Like always in an interview, the recruiter would ask me, what is your desired salary? And I'd say, well, what's the budget for this position? I would never give a specific price before I knew what their range was. Recruiters are very smart. So if you're new and you're early in your career and you want to make more money in the next job that you're going for, never, when you're negotiating, never be the first person to say the price. That's negotiating 101. Never say the price first. So whenever I would be asked by a recruiter, so what's your desired salary? I'd say, well, what's the budget for this position? And they would always give you a range. They always give you a range. It's between X and Y. And I'd say, okay, well, most definitely Y, like the higher end of the spectrum there. And that's how I would always start the negotiation. Okay. And so in the technology sector, it's a little bit different than in other industries, right? In the technology sector, people are typically moving around more often. It's not like back in the olden days where you're working in the coal mine for 40 years, right? And then it's not like that. Gone are the days where we work at the same company for 20, 30, 40 years. We get a pension and we retire at 62, right? Those days are gone for the majority of us, okay? So when you look at the background of salespeople, and once again, this is really, my expertise is in sales and in software. So in my industry here in software sales, people are moving around left and right. The average tenure of a salesperson in my industry is 1 to 3 years. And the reason why is the payout, you get the payout when you join a new company. You don't get the payout when you move up within a company. It's unfortunate, but that is the sad reality in tech. in technology. And that might be something that might kind of confuse a lot of you that are watching this video, but that is the reality. And that is exactly how I was able to increase my earned income 50% on average every 2 years. The LinkedIn profile here is not my profile. It's not somebody that I know. It's just a good example of somebody that is a VP of sales, but how did they get to that position? They got to that position by going from company to company, not being complacent, right? They started out maybe at Dell, they went to Salesforce, they went to then VMware, every 2 years, right? It's kind of ironic, right? But that's how it happened. And I have a very, very similar background as this individual right here. There are many times in my career over the last 10 years that I've tried and failed. And I think the most important thing is that you get up, right? You failed 3 times, but you get up 4 times. You don't give up. And I love looking at Michael Jordan as the prime example of this. When he was in high school, he didn't make his varsity team. And he kind of wore that chip on his shoulder throughout his career that, you know what, you're not going to turn me down, right? I'm the greatest, right? And he proved everyone else wrong, right? And that was his drive, his motivation. And so the next thing here, the next part that I want to kind of shift towards is know your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? If you're in a position that you don't enjoy, why are you there? Is it because you don't have a choice? Is it because you're comfortable? Is it because you like the people you work with, right? That comes back to what I was saying earlier about complacency. Don't be complacent. You have to, get out of your bubble. And what I talk about with my team a lot is, and I'll get to this in a second around where I'm at, is be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That is so, so important. Okay. And so when I look at my career, where I'm at today, I've been in sales for just around 10 years now, and I've always been in technology sales. And I went from being an individual contributor to being a manager and managing a team of salespeople. Over this course of being a manager, I probably interviewed right around 1,000 people. The majority of people that I've hired were between 20 years old, 21, because usually they right out of college, 21 to maybe 29, okay? And the number one question that I'm trying to answer for myself is, as a hiring manager, do I trust this person? In my profession, where I'm measured off of performance, the people on my team directly represent me. And so the question that I'm asking as a hiring manager is, do I trust this person? Okay. And so that is so, so important to me. And I can tell, usually, like we saw the clip from Mark Cuban, I can tell typically within the first couple of seconds, even or maybe minute, if this person is going to be a good fit for this job or not. Usually it's by the questions that they ask. That is really the most important. If they are prepared, the questions show if they're prepared or not. So let me share a little bit with all of you how I'm able to make the money that I do in my day job. Okay, so in a sales role, working at a technology company, there's typically different ways that you're compensated. You're compensated with your base salary. That's your base. You get paid that regardless every 2 weeks. You also have a component of your pay is called variable. This is a commission base. This is based off of the sales that you, if you're an individual contributor, make, or if you're a manager like myself, from the sales that your team makes. Okay. And so the third component that a lot of people don't understand is RSUs, restricted stock units. In technology, if you're working for a software company, this is really that icing on the cake. This is how you can make money or more money in the technology sector, is through RSUs. If you don't know what it is, go type into Google RSU. Okay. And so restricted stock units, they vest typically over 4 years. And so what it is, it's stock shares of the company that vest over a 4-year time period. So every year, if you have, say, for example, 1,000 shares of a stock, then you get 250 shares every year. Every position is going to pay a different salary. Every company, every industry is going to pay a different salary. The way that I was able to increase my earned income was during the interview process. The way that I did it was during every interview with the recruiter, they always ask you, Jake, what is your desired salary for this position? I would never give a number, never. The way that I would answer that question was, I'd say, that's a really great question. What is the budget for this position? Every single time I changed jobs, changed companies, I was able to increase my earned income because I asked this question. I didn't give the number first. I asked for the budget. The recruiter typically gives a range, and they say it's based off of experience, education, etc. And I would always get the highest end of the spectrum and more. That's how I was able to increase my earned income by 50% pretty much every 2 years. Asking the right questions. That's what it comes down to. And this is applicable to every person, every industry. You have to understand how to ask the right questions. When it comes to increasing your earned income, it's as simple as that. Know your value and ask the right questions. I hope that this video was helpful. These are just a few examples of how I was able to increase my earned income by 50% on average every 2 years. I know that this is not going to be applicable to everyone. I know from my own experience that this is how I was able to do it. It's not really rocket science. What I've noticed over time is I was never the smartest person in the room, but I'd be damned if somebody in the room was going to work harder than me. Thank you everybody for watching the video. If you're new to the channel, I'd invite you to subscribe. If you liked today's video, give me a thumbs up and I'll catch everybody in the next video.